Okay. Woohoo! Okay. Welcome to Native Wellness Institute's Wellness Wednesday. Nistu Nidaniko Mokoyo Sukoyi. It's my second Blackfoot name. I have the blood that runs through my veins comes from Eagle Ribs at Siksikai, comes from all the Russells, and many more at Kainai, Prairie Chicken Shoe Dance, And a lot of the blood that runs through my vein comes from Brockett, Alberta. I was born and raised in Hart Butte, Montana. I was born April 20th, 1956, in Hart Butte, Montana. I had an urban experience where I was relocated with my family and several other Blackfeet families to the San Francisco Bay Area when I was 7.5. I have returned and I've been living at home. I live humble in this cabin, still chop wood. I just ate the last of my buffalo steaks. I just had some because I'm getting new elk steaks because my nephew Doug Iron Pipe Fitzgerald just got us an elk and it's being processed. But welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I am founder along with several others that are, some have passed over and some are still here. And we have a whole team. This is Native Wellness Institute, and this is our branding. So I wanted to start with the topic today is healing while embracing a different president for 4 years, while celebrating Leonard Peltier's freedom, but also acknowledging the healing that needs to happen over the last 100 years with toxic masculinity infiltrating our Indian ways and our indigenous ways. And so the topic is about hear all sides of the story before you pass judgment. That's called justice. Justice practice. So, but Native Wellness Institute, we come here every Wednesday with wellness, positive, productive, and proactive dialogue. And so I'm going to, as your badass auntie, and I'm just your elder, and I'm your sister, I'm your LGBTQ two-spirit ally. I wanted to say, Native Wellness Institute, do you see this branding? And thank you, Lavina Louie. She's part of our board on Colville, Coeur d'Alene area over there. A lot of her relatives. It's a road, and if you see the road, it's a journey to wellness, and we're on that journey right now in 2025. January, oh my God, I just like go 20, 21, 22, 20, we're here. But Native Wellness, our mission, and that's why we're coming to you live with Wellness Wednesday, is to keep the teachings of our ancestors alive. So anything that falls underneath the branch of keeping our ancestors alive and keeping their philosophies and keeping their teachings, we do. And so I come to you with an open heart and an exhilaration that we have opportunity to heal today. Whew. How many of you? I have colleagues and friends who watched every part of the inauguration. I have colleagues and friends who haven't watched any of it. They don't even know the hat that the woman wore that's married to that man. Did you see that hat? Whoa, whoa! And I was like, anyway. You know, why do we wear hats? Why do we wear Kami Poismanix headdresses? Why do we wear cowboy hats? Why do we wear ball caps? Why do we, put all this, in the winter, yeah, you don't want to freeze, so you put some, but that hat that she had on was this far, and did you notice? It was so he couldn't kiss her. she she was gonna wear a hat where you couldn't get that big old orange face underneath that, around that hat. Anyway, just my little humor. So, and I have colleagues right now, and so I want to just share some storytelling with you. My mother, Yeskriptadaki, Yellow Flower Woman, was born in 1938, and she's still alive and well. She's still driving her truck. Yesterday, she got over her RSV. She went to the post office, went up to the casino, saw what was on the menu. She went to visit and hugged everybody because she was happy that Leonard Peltier had been granted clemency from our standing president at that time. Monday morning was Joe Biden. So woohoo! And I celebrate because when I heard, I just crumbled because I've grown up, just my 69 years with allies, with colleagues, trying to free Leonard Peltier, because it's not just about him. It's about all of our freedom. It's about every tribe. It's about every indigenous. It's about every political prisoner. It's about everyone incarcerated, maybe because they have an addiction, not because they're a criminal. It's about the fact that no one could stop them. The president, with his power, gave clemency to Leonard Peltier at 80 years old. Imagine, how many of you are 80 years old? You know, when you're 80, it's not like you're 30, it's not like you're 40, but they're gracefully giving him dignity with whatever. Shoot, he might have another 20 years with all this stuff, extra parts they put on us. Anyway, he'll be around. Be gentle with him. So I wanted to start with some, just a couple of stories, because each of you will have stories. And if your inner spirit or soul is telling you, I have to say this, say it. I have to do this. I have to listen to this. I have to know what went on, because some of you weren't even born yet, right? Like, who's Leonard Peltier? I'm 35 years old. Who's Anna Mae? Who's Elvis Presley? Come on, you badass auntie, learn your history. God damn it. Anyway, so the story my mom, when I called her, she couldn't stop crying. So I had to wait until she finished a little bit of crying. Very happy. And then I said, we have to celebrate, Mama. I got you some warm wonton Chinese soup, your favorite. I got you some garlic roasted ribs, some lemon chicken, and I'm gonna drive through, because we're 35 below Fahrenheit, and it's icy, but war pony, war Pony. I said, Mom, let's have a meal and let's celebrate. And I listened to her stories all afternoon long. I listened to her stories all day yesterday. I listened to her stories, and so she said, I remember, because remember, you have to put yourself back in the 70s. So just do a basic timeline. Understand, right before the pandemic, we celebrated 50 years of celebration of taking over Alcatraz Island, which was taken over November 20th, 1969. But look at what happened even before, just that civil rights, the great MLK, Martin Luther King, the great John Lewis, the great Malcolm X, the great Cesar Chavez, the great Angela Davis, all of the civil rights leaders, and then our native civil rights leaders, Wilma Mankiller, Cecilia Fire Thunder, who was part of our team, all of the we win, just began to think what was their mindset in those 60s. And so the story that she started with, she said, after Alcatraz, it started the motioning of more justice and more civil rights. And the 1978 walk, I mean, even at DQ, they were having, they started having sundances in urban areas. They started taking ceremonies, UEPs. They started bringing from the Southwest, from the coast. They started, the ones that were living in the city said, we still need to talk our language, we still need to sing our songs, and we still need to have our prayers. And so that's the time in which Wounded Knee happened. That's the time, the longest walk from San Francisco to all the way, the Indians walking to Washington, D.C., asking for justice around the legislation for Indian Religious Freedom Act. Prior to 1978, we got locked up if we practiced our religion and any of our ceremonies. The 1978, the Indian Child Welfare Act. Before that, we had no say-so. They would just come and take our children and put them in the system. And there was there's 11 pieces of legislation. So the story, Mom, she goes, oh, I remember that time. Because these... Dennis Banks, Floyd Westerman, Wilma Mankiller, Angela Davis, Nelson Mandela are my mom's friends. And she said, we started walking, from DQ University. And I was there, but I remember walking, but my gut instinct said, Oxtokama, which is my first, Nistu Oxtokama for, 60 some years. Turn around, because if you go on this walk, you will not finish your college education. So I didn't tell anybody. So I wished them well and gave them resources. But my mom and them kept walking till they got into the mountains and there was snow. And none of them had the right shoes on. I mean, it's not like they got high heels on. I mean, you should not be wearing high heels on icy ass snow. You're going to fall and you're going to break something. It might look cute, but that's stupid. Anyway, she said she remembers a lot of the walkers realized, they didn't have proper shoes, and then they decided some would go back, and there was a lot of the women worn WARN warrior red women against nations. I've worn, and so Mom said, but what happened is Bill Wapipa, who opened up the American Indian Movement House in Oakland, and whenever parents were drinking or weren't available, there was no protection of those children, so they just put them in the system, and then white people would raise them. Well, Bill used to go and house and take care of these children until the parents got okay. It was called the AIM House. And she said she remembers going into Intertribal Friendship House, and that's, it's on Martin Luther King Boulevard, that used to be East 14th in Oakland. And they made a massive paper around the room, and every day Bill Wapipa would call and tell mom where they were and what they needed, and give a report. So they would write the timeline, for while they walked, while they slept, while they sang, while they prayed, while they smudged, and as they walked to Washington, D.C. And that assisted. So remember, that's when 1973, when Wounded Knee, there's all these benchmarks, and you really need to put them in order to understand where your healing is. Isn't that awesome? Where your healing is within this framework. So she said it was just so beautiful, because there was just people brought in food, they were feeding them, and he'd say, we made it over the mountains, we're down on this highway going through, Nevada. We're heading down this highway, and people have been kind because their shoes wore out. I remember they had to drive, because when you walk, what do you got? Like back then, there wasn't all these Hokas and fancy shoes. They just had old tennis shoes, and they wore out. So they'd say, we need more shoes. So they'd be, would get in the area. It was all this organization. Remember, there's no cell phones. There's no social media. There's no internet. This is just the Indian grapevine. But I just remember everybody buying because, and the sizes, because, it's hard to walk. You need the right kind of, but just imagine if we could go back in time and bring them a whole bus load of Hokas. Anyway, if you haven't got your Hokas yet, you better, just in case we have to go on another walk. We be walking, because, right, we don't want to be fat with cutting off fingers because we got diabetes. Hey. Oops, I should talk, huh? I like my role because I'm enrolled. Anyway, she said they would clap, they would sing, they would cry, and then write it on that timeline until they got to Washington, D.C., and then, they'd try to get resources, even gas money. And, Indians, we have, we get, the bread. It used to be white bread, Wonder Bread, bologna, and then you make the sandwiches, you can put it back in the bread bag, so just be like these stacks of bologna sandwiches. And, you're going on a road trip, so you make stacks of bologna sandwiches. And that's some Kool-Aid. That's how Indians used to travel. Kool-Aid and bologna sandwich. Anyway, but as they had victories, as they went through the Minnesota, there was just celebrations, and there was just so much faith that the future was going to be just for Native Americans and tribes. That we were going to be heard, that the treaties were going to be upheld, that we were going to be respected. But then, I just wanted to, remember the time, because the time back then, there was not, there was, number one, not treatment programs. Number two, there was not cultural treatment programs if you had an addiction and were addicted to, let's see, what was Coors, Rainier, Vitamin R, it was like Budweiser, but people had, addictions to moonshine. So just put yourself back in that time, because I was visiting with, of course, our executive director, Jalene Joseph, we have. I just love when Jelena and I can just dream big on how we can heal around this. And we were talking, about that we have to guide people down and not take sides, not say, I'm with all of the man haters, I'm with all the women haters. Oh, I'm with only LGBTQ and la 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 la. This is time where we have to hear everybody's story and give our story. So that means you have to give up your story, because your story, like Gene Tagabon says, might be somebody else's survival manual. If you share how you have thrived and how you live joy today and how you're in recovery, why you have a good life, so that's why Native Wellness Institute, that's why we come to you, and this is free. We're not trying to hustle you. This is free. And if you don't like it, go. Mr. Put. Get the hell out of here, that means in Blackfoot. Mr. Put. Anyway. But Booksaput, I'm inviting you. Booksaput, come on in. Booksaput, because we have to look at this. Why? Because for the next 10 generations of climate change and the next 10 generations of global harmony, yes, a ceasefire has happened. Yes, the next 10 generations of your descendants, your DNA, your ancestral teachings, to keep the teachings of your ancestors alive, is why we have this every Wednesday. It's why Mike Duncan on Native Dads Network goes on every Tuesday, 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. It's why White Bison sends out all their colleagues to do Warrior Down, to do Daughter and Sons of Tradition, Mothers of Tradition. It's why NAFA, why Al Pooley's group goes out. It's why the American Indian Cancer Society goes out. Because we aren't competing, we're coordinating. And so I'm going to ask you, to really listen to all sides of the story and for the healing. So the other thing, okay, so I just have to share some stories with you, because my mom, throughout the day when we were together and we were eating, and she brings out her old Akwesasne book called Wounded Knee, printed. It's out of print, 1979. I'm going to post some of those pictures, but it was Akwesasne told the story with photos of Wounded Knee, of who was there, and you can see everyone. Ooh, they look young, but it's just so beautiful. So, this is what my mother would do. We would be talking, and then she does this where she goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe it's true. Oh my God. Oh, Mr. Back to be greater. Thank you." And then would go on and would do some more, and then they just go, "Oh my God. I can't believe this is true," she said. She goes, "This is going to be so good for our people to witness in their lifetime that there is justice. Not bitch and complain, but there is justice." This person is symbolic for all of us wanting justice. Symbolic for all of us wanting that fair share, and not be stereotyped, and not have structural racism, and not have structural sexism, and not have structural ageism. So then finally, towards the end of the day, because we enjoyed our meal, and our crazy dog brother William came over, and we had a good visit with him, because he had always put up Mom's white wall tent at any of the ceremonies at Buster Yellow Kidney's Sundance. And my mom danced at Wombly, head woman dancer for years. Richard Move can tell you that story. And then when she came home, she danced here with Buster Yellow Kidney. So I was thinking, shoot, And then my mom fasted 4 times a year all our lives. So I grew up with, you're supposed to fast 4 times a year each season, right? So then this is what the story, she said, oh my gosh. And, she goes like this. She said, I wonder what he's going to request when he gets home. What's going to be his first meal? What kind of Indian food is he going to request? I wonder if it's, ham hocks and beans with bannock with a little bit extra fluff to it with egg whites. I wonder if it's some really good soft fry bread with just a big old hunk of ribeye. So anyway, she was just, and then I was just loving because, on Facebook, you can say prayers for Kathy Peltier because she's the family member, as well as a lot of other family members and a lot of other colleagues, Matheson, many who have been fighting, this 48 years to get justice for Leonard Peltier. So she just posted, and it made me feel so happy. She said, just letting you know, Leonard has requested beef tongue. And I was just, when I say that, kind of my mouth waters, like beef tongue, And then I was thinking, maybe you'd like a little bit of wild rice, maybe much more than a fried bologna sandwich, or maybe fry bread wrapped around a red wiener, fried up with some hangover soup with elk hamburger and Eni bison hamburger. Anyway, so then I started listening to other stories because my mother was part of the 12 treatment programs in California as they emerged. New Dawn Lodge, White Cloud Lodge, and that's a lot of you Pomos, a lot of you Californians. Your parents got sober in my mom's program in Oakland. And now you guys are getting sober, and if you ain't sober, get a grip. Nothing's gonna go good until you put the cork in the bottle, or you can't be out there. And we know who you are. We watch you on Instagram. We know you're vaping CBD. We know what you do because you know what? With social media, you can't sneak and do nothing because some Indian's gonna be watching you and post you. So why don't just be honest and true and have some integrity and work your program, get your act together, okay? That's so. What does it mean when Leonard Peltier is free? What does it mean when Nelson Mandela was free? And that's another story because, my mom is closely allied with Nelson Mandela. And it was because, and think about this, people wanted to hear from him because he had been incarcerated 27 years. Pretty sure it's 27 yees before he got freedom. And when he got out, people wanted to hear him. So think about how we can hear Leonard without abusing Leonard. And so with Nelson Mandela, one of the things that when my mom went into the story is that they took Nelson Mandela across the United States and he got to address people, crowds for 20 minutes. And FBI, etc., had to approve of his speech. I mean, talk about, tethering someone. But he came to Oakland, California in 1990, and all of the natives, there's about 150,000 natives living in the San Francisco Bay Area. Mom typed a letter, welcoming him to our land and saying we have similar problems with housing, similar problems with just, etc. and typed it and put it in a bag with some shawls for his wife and some gifts. And when they went to the airport, they couldn't be seen because they hadn't got FBI clearance. And so here's my mom with this bag of gifts and this letter. And it's right up there. I should read it for you. But she gets there, and they wouldn't let any of the Indians near. And so anyway, they had a red carpet where his plane was going to stop, and he was going to walk down the red carpet. But the plane came, and somehow it couldn't stop at the red carpet. It stopped right in front of the Indians. So they had to let him out there. And when they let him out, and they played the African national anthem. And when they finished it, my mom was there with her bag, and all these other Indians, waving, went, and that's what African American women do. They have a praise holler. They have a similar, and so it caught the attention of not only Nelson Mandela and his wife, but it got the attention of their nurse that travels with them. So Nelson Mandela told his nurse, "Go over there and see what those Indians want." So when she went over, my mom was able to give the bag too of gifts, shawls, all kinds of, they had some medicine in there, and that letter. And that letter, I think I have to read it for you. Hold on a second. I should have. Okay, so this is, and at that time, my mom worked for the Native American Alcoholism Program in Oakland. So it's dated June 30th, 1990. And it reads, Nelson Mandela of South Africa. Dear Mr. Mandela, a warm welcome to our homeland of our ancestors. We, the American Indians, natives of this land, are honored and privileged to welcome you to the Western Hemisphere. In 1992, it will be 500 years since non-Indians came to our land. Since then, we have sacrificed so much of our culture and loss of our people by foreign substances that is not native to our peoples. Today, we have still many struggles for the people survival. Despite every attack of abuse from some good and bad people, the American Indian is still here. Our culture is maintained and honored by our own people and some supporters. Many tribes are teaching and sharing pride in who they are. The children are honored by many, for they are our future. However, in this land of plenty, the world's greatest economic development, the Indian reservations and the urban Indian populations remain the same. The highest unemployment rate, substandard housing, are no homes, hunger, poor health, extreme poverty conditions where alcoholism is the number one health problem. More than 500 tribes with 236 different languages whose culture heritage is so rich in having a way to live that could work for the whole world will have this daily dilemma. Our struggles continue. The U.S. government have met with you to honor and acknowledge your sovereign rights as an African nation. This is what the American Indian is asking for. Again, it is a true honor to meet you and to welcome you here. Sincerely, in behalf of many Indian peoples and many tribes, the Bay Area Indian Community representatives, Betty N. Cooper, Blackfeet, and Sally Gallegos, Sioux, Lakota, Betty Newbreast. And so so we need to think, how are you welcoming all sides of the story? We need to think, if your gut says go there, and Lulu, when he gets out of prison, bring your horses, bring your war ponies, bring your smudge, bring your songs, do it. Don't wish, just do it. Do what you need to do to welcome him home, because it's not just Leonard Peltier. It's every indigenous person of color and Ukrainians, and we could go on, who are locked up behind bars because other human beings have that power to do so. That is just wrong. God, I had to smudge and go put out tobacco, and I had a good cry, and I had good talks with Mike Duncan, and good talks with my sister Lori, and good talks with Jolene Joseph, and good talks with Aurora Mamea. And I'm inviting all of you to come to the San Francisco Bay Area. There's going to be thousands of us celebrating the Bay Area American Indian Two-Spirit Powwow, which is February 1st. But the whole week leading up, there's going to be events. I just saw the majestic Land O'Lakes, his poster, she, her. And I just saw the posters for honoring Two-Spirit and allies. I just saw the posters for honoring all the 18 to 29-year-olds in San Francisco. I just saw all of the good stuff, the healing, because already, and I just want to say, you've lived through this 4 years. Get ready to defend your side, LGBTQ and Two-Spirit, and the future, those 10 generations are holy people. As many stars in the sky are how many definitions of gender there is. Not just two. How frickin' ignorant can you be? Okay, I'm not gonna... What's the solution? Come and join us. Come to healing gatherings. Go to your 12-step meeting. Go, we're in Blackfeet country on the 23rd tomorrow, 1870, where the Heavy Runner camp by a half-drunk soldier named Baker massacred over 300 of our people with Gatling guns. So we've been going out there having ceremony. For at least I've been to the last 30 because of Natawa Pisaki, Carol Murray, and John Murray, and many others, Leah Whitford, many others. And we're having a commemoration because we've moved for my generation to a healing point. But every year we have brand new who never heard this story. And that's an example. We have to hear all the stories. We have to pray. We have to smudge. We have to listen to each other. And we have to cry together. We have to laugh together. We have to sing more songs. We have to dance together. Whoa, that means the next 4 years we could be celebrating. That means the next 4 years, Indians are going to be out and visible. Indians are going to be in the streets, on social media, on TikTok. We'll probably invent an Indian TikTok, Blue Sky, Instagram. Well, in 10 years, we'll have so many new things. We'll just go, think it, and it will happen. Woohoo! All right. I want everyone with orange hair to pick cotton for next 2 decades. Hey, no. I'm just kidding. Because some of my little relatives have orange hair. So today, welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Wellness Wednesday is part of, we started this with the power hours, 7 days a week, 5 days a week. And guess what? We're there on YouTube. Go to YouTube, type in Native Wellness Institute, and you'll see Jalene Joseph, you see Will Penn, you'll see Shailene Joseph, you'll see Levina Louie, you'll see Levina, and all her kids, are like scholars in university at the Hawaii. I mean, you'll see Jean and Ruby. You'll see Alaska. You'll see Lori Newbreast over and over, and it's free. It's just positive, productive, and proactive, keeping the teachings of our ancestors alive. So that's on YouTube. The other thing that's coming up, and I just want to invite you, is all of our 5 organizations, the American Indian Cancer Foundation, NAFA, Al Pooley's group, Katori Koyas, White Bison, NWI, Native Dads Network. We're having our 4th annual healing together. They just have saved the date. White Bison is doing the registration, but we're going to have thousands come together in Colorado, June 18th, 19th, and 20th. So come join us. But all of us, right, we're getting ready at Barbie's Village. And our Native Wellness, they've just taken, we have all this cedar. I guess now the big room looks like a plank house. Anyway, we're having healthy relationships training of trainers. And it's going to be a team of us. So, and I'll be there. And I'm just going to be my badass self because, you know, if you ask me, I may not know the answer, but we'll figure it out together. We'll figure the answer out together. That's what this branding, that's what this mission is. So that is February 11th, 12th, and 13th at Barbie's Village. We just secured one of the most beautiful places on the beach on Oahu. So March 11th, 12th, and 13th. We're doing being trauma and healing informed on Hawaii. So you can come join us. You can go to our our Facebook page, our www.nativewellness.com, and you can request anything. We just got a request that several tribes asked for a year long of healing because they want to be proactive over these 4 years. And so I think the 31st, one of the Montana tribes, we're sending a team out there. And what we do is we do healing over a year. You can also ask for that. And we're not gouging, we'll be flexible. But remember, we're an NGO, which means we're non-government organization. And that is intentional because once you do that, then you have someone who lives way far away that doesn't understand your people bossing you around and making decisions for you. So the other thing that would like to invite you to is in May at Barbie's Village, we're going to have a men's Gona going on, a women's Gona, and an LGBTQ Two-Spirit Gona at the same time. And then we're just going to come together for some forgiveness kind of ceremonies. So that is May 11th at Barbie's. Yeah, I'm just, the schedule, I'm just so excited. So I want to just personally invite you, one of our NWI main team members works for Native American Health Center, Aurora Mamea. And then we have an ally, April McGill, who has the Native American District in San Francisco. They've got next week on the 28th, we've been invited to go to Intertribal Friendship House with all of the elders, and so I'm a guest speaker on the 28th, and I think I'll be there at 11, and then we'll be there with the elders, and I'm going to talk about both sides of the stories with Leonard Peltier and Anna Mae. I'm going to talk about it because I've heard these stories growing up, and we were there, and we're still alive. And I think I'm clear-headed. Sometimes I think I'm clear-headed. I just go, yays. Anyway, and then Monique is going to be around doing body work throughout the week. The 29th, she's going to help us, and she's the one that corrects my body, stress, heart. She does everything down your spinal cord with all of your muscles, etc. And then on the 30th, I'm going to be doing one-on-ones with the clinic on Cap Street. And then we have a talking circle, and it's open. That's on the 30th from 1 to 3. And then that night, Bates, and there's so many trailblazers, LGBTQ, so many wonderful. They're going to do an honoring of Two-Spirit and LGBTQ. And then they're going to do an honoring of allies, starts that evening on the 30th. And then there's a whole schedule you can go to. It's BAAITS, Bates. They're doing, and the powwow, it's leading up to the powwow on the 1st with a grand entry of 5,000 dancers, from all around the world who are allies or Two-Spirit or LGBTQ. And they'll be dancing and celebrating. And then the next day, there's like a breakfast with a lot of, and that's our dialect, breakfast. I like how we say school instead of school, process instead of process. Anyway, there's a breakfast with Land O'Lakes. You can go to Land O'Lakes. We'll post them. There's just all kinds of, what we're doing is we're just not sitting here wondering what a Republican is going to do to us next. We're in action. We're getting it together. We're proactive. We're not wishing for things. We're just doing it. Don't wish, just do it. And so, anyway, I can hear the prairie chicken. I can hear, don't wish, just do it. So come join us. Because, look what we've come through. Look at what the tribes they've tried to genocide, wipe us out, steal our land, take our children, disenfranchise our men. And it didn't work. We're still here. We still got our language. We still got our ceremonies. We still got our land. We still got our ways. We still got our goddamn fried bologna sandwiches and fried spam sandwiches. We got... we're still here. And you know what? If you're a real Indian, you just share what you have. That's why when Indians get a whole bunch of money, they just give it out to their relatives and take them out to eat, buy a room, let the kids swim in the pool. They just share it. And when you're sharing it, and kind of think about sharing your story related to when you were locked up, or someone in your family was unjustly locked up, or just locked up. How do we bring them back? Share your story with your family member that was missing, or murdered, or unknown. That's, ever since Ashley Loring Heavy Runner, I have a living board that has all of the Blackfoot Confederacy listed as family told their story at Siksikai, Kainai, Abatsapikani, where they were missing, how old they were, and if there's, anyway, start to tell the story. And when when your kids are, on their pads or looking at their phone, take some time just to be Indian and take them for a walk. Take them out fishing. Take them out gathering medicine. Just walk with them and listen. The reason you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen to their story. Share your story. And say, how can there be justice and equity about this story, some reconciliation, some negotiation, some compromise? How can there be spiritually amending so that broken hearts, the broken hearts that you see busted in half, the broken hearts that you see out there, how can they be mended? That's the question we need to be asking, is how can we help each other heal? How can we have boundaries? You know, sometimes I make some crazy notes. How can we have self-discipline? How can we have self-compassion? And how can we have lateral kindness? How can we bring lateral forgiveness to self, to our family, to others? And you know, I was just thinking, if they'd lend me that new president, I'd like to, and get him dressed up, get him in the right clothing here. I'd like to take him out on this frozen lake, walk with him. I'd like to take him and teach him how to bust a hole in this ice and maybe fish. I'd like to take him over there where there's a beaver lodge underneath the frozen ice. Underneath. Tell him some beaver stories. I'd like him to look up in the sky and see the golden eagles and the bald eagles. I'd like to take him out to Nanastico. I'd take him up there. And I'll give him a buffalo robe, some smudge, and I'll put him out for 8 days to fast. I'll put him out for 8 days. We won't let him die. No food, no water, only his prayers. No Elon Musk, no McDonald's, no wife with a hat that you can't kiss him. I would just put him out, and on the 8 days, I think he'd be ready to be our president. So there's my challenge. Buksaput. I don't know your Indian name, Mr. Trump. I don't know your Indian name. But when you come out after 8 days of fast, I might give you a new Indian name. It'll come to me. So that's my challenge. Come over here and I'll get, I'll get our ask Tyson Running Wolf to help. Ask Leon Rattler to help. I'll ask all the yellow kidneys to help. I'll go up and ask the prairie chicken, ask the bruised head, ask all the descendants, the tail feathers, all of the big head that are descendants of Holy Bear Woman from Bear River Baker Massacre to come help. And when you come out, we're gonna feed you spotted dog, Mr. President. We're gonna feed you some broth out of buffalo juice broth. And we're going to give you glacier water from Triple Divide so that when you drink that water after fasting for 8 days, that water tastes sweet. And when we bring you out and we sing for you, we're going to ask one of your relatives, Maslow, that guy Maslow. We did the same thing with him, but look what he did to us. Stole everything and didn't even acknowledge us. Anyway, when we bring you out, we're going to gift you. It's going to be a surprise. Bunch of gifts. And you're going to be our ally in this global effort with climate change. You're going to be our ally with justice. And we're going to give you a whack on the head. And this whack, we're going to do it with the golden. We're going to whack you because it's going to evaporate your narcissism. It's going to evaporate your wounds. It's going to evaporate your trauma. It's going to evaporate your chaos. And it's going to evaporate all of those not so good things. And at the same time, it's going to bring in the goodness of love, the goodness of unconditional love. It's going to bring in that curious wonder when you watch the birds. And I'm looking outside at the frozen lake. I'm looking at my tobacco plants. You're going to see the world differently. Our world can be different, but we have to insert ourselves in some of the solution. We have to insert ourselves with some of the prayers. We have to insert ourselves with taking care of our own tribe, our own sovereignty. We have to insert ourselves. And I was just thinking, the other half of my buffalo steak is waiting over there for me, because I'm gonna go outside on the snow, and I had made an offering. I smudged the first part of that steak and I took it outside. And I asked all my ancestors, and I named as many as I could to come and eat. My dad, all my uncles, all my aunties, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, my great-great. I even asked Anna Mae if she'd come and eat some of the buffalo steak to help us heal. And I put that out. And I have faith. I have faith in the prayers. I have faith in food offerings. All we have to do is call upon them and ask them for help. Just imagine all your ancestors. Joe Boss sitting right here. Stanikiwa sitting right here. Nanamani Na sitting right here. Awatski. Atokan. They're all just sitting right here. And all you have to do is just say, No Gai Kimokin, No Gaspomokin, help me. Help me. Guess what? They'll help you. That's all we got to do, not only for this next 4 years, but the remainder of our life. One day at a time. Do it today. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday, Native Wellness Institute. We come to you every Wednesday. We hope that we can bring some healing, that you've thought about something I've said here. Try to be a better person. Try to listen to everyone's story. And quit trying to act like a white person or be white. Because that's not you. Well, it's an option. But if you want to be Indian, walk with us on this path. Walk with us. Come to the healing events. Look at the healing events in your own community. Blackfeet Community College, my hat's off to you. Natu Wapisaki, Carol and John Murray, my hat's off to you. We'll come and see. We'll invite you. You should come on Friday. Anyway, I guess we usually come on for an hour. This is one of, I found this on my walk here during the summertime. I always get gifted. So this is one of the feathers that I was gifted. And I just keep it where I sit when I have 6 personal pipes. And when I smoke and pray in the morning, I keep one of the, so I just share this feather with you. And we'll say, we say, you know, kita kita matsano, you know, we'll see you later. Take care till next Wednesday.